Hello, friends. It's Sassy Gal. And I have been absent for a while from YouTube. Right when things were actually going really well and my channel was picking up subscribers and things were moving along really well. And last Monday, May 13th, my oldest daughter, I'm calling her E for the video, and E's world changed forever. Now, she's okay. My family is fine physically, as far as there's no illness or injuries or anything like that. So I've held off making a video just because I felt like that anything that I was going to say was going to be selfish on my part. But my daughter told me yesterday that I'm grieving as well. And so let me share with you what happened. Pull up a chair and grab some coffee or something and join me for a conversation. So, May 13th starts out like a normal day. And I find out my daughter's best friend, and I'm going to call him J, letter J, had gotten into a motorcycle accident and he was airlifted to a hospital and he needed prayers. Now, the best way for me to describe the relationship that E and J had, it's more than best friend, but it's not, husband or even like fiance or anything like that. They've known each other for 12 years. My daughter's 23. They're both 23. Their birthdays are just a couple months apart. So they're literally the same age. So they're both 23. And they've been very close for the last, I would have to say, 6 years or so. I call him a life partner because they did life together. For a while, Jay was in the Marines, and I think maybe that's when they started to become closer, and they dated for a little while. But it just wasn't the right time for them. I mean, things started changing, the friendship and their relationship started changing. And sometimes that happens, you get in relationships and sometimes somebody thinks that, I don't know, certain things happen or there's power struggles or anything. The friendship starts changing. And so she broke it off to protect their friendship. And they remained good friends. And even in this last year or so, they began hanging out more in person. They would hang out and meet. They would meet together for, like going out for barbecue, or they would go grab a burger. Sometimes they would just hang out in the park and go for a walk. And so life partner fits and best friend fits. And imagine someone for half of your life, you have someone who is always there, always. Someone to text, someone to vent to, someone to play Xbox games with. They had a really cool game on Arc that they played together recently, and they were just so excited to play this game, and they were building this server and this community together, and it was just fun. But they were starting to just start their lives and in adulthood. They're still young adults very much. And anyway, if you could imagine, some of you have been married for 30, almost 40 years. Imagine that person who is your best friend leaving this world suddenly. And you don't have that person who you talk to every day. You don't have that person to talk to anymore. I mean, like, suddenly you can't text, you can't call, you can't vent, you can't pick up a game and play, you can't, like, your whole world, like everything that you did, um there was this person, this life person with you, even though they weren't married or anything. But sometimes people say that they were kind of married, but um it just wasn't the right time for them. So back to the tragic day. So he was in a motorcycle accident. He was wearing a helmet. I know people will ask. He collided with a dump truck on a rural route in our area. So, the rural routes, it's not a major interstate, but it's not also a country road. So, it's a highway, and it was a divided highway. And the dump truck had, according to the police report, stopped at a stop sign, then proceeded to cross the westbound lanes, and that's when they collided. And it was life-threatening injuries. And that was Monday, and we were able to go to the hospital. I took her to the hospital, and he was in one of the best hospitals in the East Coast in this region. If you're in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, that little area right in there, they're one of the best hospitals. It's called Innova, Inova, and he was airlifted there, and he had every possible chance for survival, and but he did not make it. So I have a daughter who's 23, who has lost her life partner. And at this time in our lives, my youngest daughter, who is 18, is graduating high school. That's coming up. She has senior dance recital. She has all these senior things that are happening. We had a graduation dinner last night at her church. They have a senior service where they're recognizing seniors. That's coming up. And then we're traveling to our state capital, where she's going to be graduating with the rest of our homeschoolers, the class of 2024 homeschoolers. And then we have things that we're planning after that. We have a graduation party that we're having, and there's some other things. This girl, this young gal, this wonderful 18-year-old who is gaining so much right now, while my oldest is lost everything, in her opinion, and she's speaking from total grief at the moment. So as a mom, so this is the point of my video, is not only are you not prepared for sudden loss, but as a parent, you have to go from extreme high to extreme low, trying to be there 100% for them, for each of them, 100% in grief, and then turning around later on that day and being 100% in joy because your daughter just lived her dream on the stage and danced her heart out for her senior recital. And I am torn so much between these two. I don't know. It's hard. I don't want one to overshadow the other, but my oldest daughter is like, she's like, my sister is gaining everything right now, and I've just lost half of myself. She says that there's a part of her that's gone, and I don't want one to overshadow the other. And so I'm trying to I don't know, tread gently, not walk on eggshells. We're not doing that, but just treading gently and being sensitive to both. So thankfully the family, Jay's family, has pretty much has been very supportive. There are a lot of things that I don't think that they realized about the relationship that these two had. I think I saw more of it. I don't know. However, he talked about her a lot, and only because they did everything together. He's like, oh yeah, I was playing a game with E the other day, and or I was talking to E the other day about this, or either, whatever. I mean, just she was always part of the conversation, and likewise, he was part of her conversation, and she would tell me, oh, I was texting Jay the other day, and blah blah blah. And so, and I also we used to all go to church together, and so I was able to watch him grow up, grow into manhood, and I was encouraging him to live his dream when he got into the Marines. That was a dream of his, and to just, I said, live it. Do not squash any of these opportunities. Like, you are here, you're living your dream. So go do and be and live and make memories and live out your Marine career. The jabs took that away from him. That's another story. Anyway, I'm sorry if I'm bouncing around a lot. I really don't know what to say, but I just wanted to try to give you guys a little bit of what has been going on in my life and our little struggles right now, and why I've been so quiet. And at the same time, there's something I want to share with you. If you stick around in a little bit, I'm going to share something with you as well to help you be prepared for the aftermath. So it's a little different kind of preparedness video, but I want to take a minute and share with you all of the super awesome godlike things that have been happening. First of all, we thank God that Jay was around for the few days so that there were family and my daughter could say goodbye. People need that closure and that chance to say goodbye. We didn't really understand, there's a lot of things that happen you don't really understand, but Friday morning, early in the morning, around 4 a.m., Jay's oldest brother woke up and he felt the Lord tell him that Jay was home with him. And he wrote about it in his journal, and he shared it with his dad and mom and E later on in the day. And E said she had woken up around the same time and just crying. And then I had tumultuous dreams that whole night. I woke up around, I remember looking at my phone and it said 1:12 a.m. and I had just had these horrendous tornado-like dreams, like just swirling, and we find out later that Friday morning, his mom made an update and said that the brain pressure had increased to over 50, and they want it to be down to around 22, but a normal person is around 4 or 5. So there was just no coming back, and because of the many fractures that he had in his skull, they couldn't do the craniotomy, I think is what it's called, to be able to help relieve the pressure. And so they said there wasn't any coming back from this. And I think at that point he had already left to be with Jesus, to be in heaven. And I think just the confirmation of all of that, from what his oldest brother experienced, what my daughter experienced, what I had dreamt about. And then that morning, a mutual friend, one of Jay's other friends, said that there was, they noticed that there was 3 old planes, don't know what type they were, flew over their house in missing man formation. And he felt that was another confirmation that his spirit had left his body. There were just a whole bunch of other things. A letter that my daughter had received from Jay when he was stationed in Camp Lejeune. He had written to her a letter that was full of encouragement, like, I believe in you, and the acronym FEAR, which was like false evidence appearing real, like don't succumb to fear, and you've got this, and it was very encouraging, full of all positive and I believe in you kind of things. And She didn't catch it at first, but there was a date on that letter, which was May 17th, and written exactly 4 years prior. And it was almost as if he was writing this letter to her for a future day. And so she's actually going to frame that letter because it's full of encouragement. But she just thought that was the confirmation that she needed, that his spirit is not in his body, even though his body is being kept alive by machines at the moment, because of organ donations. And he'll be doing an honor walk, or they will be doing an honor walk for him later today. People have been praying for miracles. We did not get the miracle that we wanted. But there are 8 people who will be getting answers to prayer because of Jay's sacrifice. He wanted to be an organ donor, and there will be 8 people that will be having an answer to prayer. So while we didn't get our miracle, God is giving miracles through Jay to other people. And that is just super cool. You know, a hero's walk, his final walk is going to be giving life to other people. And that's the type of person that he was, a giving person. I don't believe in coincidences really, but I had a number. I was talking to my husband the other day. I said, you know, something about 8 people receiving miracles. And when I heard today that it was going to be 8, they needed to coordinate eight surgeries, you know. I just thought that was amazing. And if y'all didn't know this, in the Bible, the number 7 gets a lot of attention. You know, there's like man's number is 6, the Lord's number is 7. But number 8 does not get enough attention. And we have the 7 days of creation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On the 7th, God rested. And in the Bible, on the 8th day, Jesus rose again. He defeated death, and it became a new chapter for believers and eternity and a new beginning. And I'm a music person. I taught music. My college education is all in music. And so I would teach the relevance of, you know, the representation, if you will, of Jesus in music. And here's one of them, because along these same numbers, there are 7 notes in a musical scale: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then it repeats A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And so everyone talks about 7, but when you get to 8 completes the scale. It completes the octave. So if you have A to A, it's a complete scale. If you ever played notes, you know, on a scale on an instrument or piano or anything, you realize, you know, that 7th is kind of hanging there. And even though that those are all of the notes, and you start over, I used it to teach that, yes, this is 1, but it's also 8, and 8 will close out the octave. It will close out the chord, and it starts a new scale. And so for believers, it shows that it's also a new beginning. And that's why many Christians start the first day of the week by going to church. And for me personally, I believe the Sabbath is the day of rest, and that's the 7th day of the week. And on the first day of the week, we celebrate what Jesus has done. And so, yes, it's the first day of the week, but it's also a completion because Jesus rose. So yes, because he rose, we start over again. And also because he rose, it's completion. It's like, we're done here. I defeated death and I've closed this out. So we have a continuous loop, if you will. And I say all of that because the number 8 and the new beginning is, to me, representative of what's happening with Jay and his organs. It's 8 miracles. It's a completion, and he is going to be complete. His time here with us is going to be complete. And those are the positives that I see in all of this, and the godlike stuff, you know. It may not help the families right now. It may not help my daughter, but I try to offer the positives, to keep looking at the positives and what God has done, because God is still good. God still answers prayer. It may not be the way we want, but we can celebrate with other people and the miracles that they will have. still have a lot to go through between now and when my youngest daughter graduates. We still have some things where we have the up and down and the roller coaster. So I hope y'all will pray for me, because I don't know how to be prepared for this. Being torn between two different occasions and two different, where you feel like responsibilities are going one way and you have to be in two places at once and have to have two different hats on at the same time, while giving both of them the 100% that they need from their mom. So I hope you will keep me in prayer for that. And now the one last thing I wanted to share with you, and I'm going to share my screen for this. This site right here is called Grief Share. They have chapters all across the country, and it's grief and loss support groups. I was able to actually, with my daughter, use my mental health first aid with her and the family, the mental health first aid training, as far as being that resource, and also using my own counseling skills to be able to help them initially. And then even a little bit of my first aid, because when my daughter first heard of the bad news, that he wasn't coming back from this, I literally had to, she got weak in the knees, and I had to put her down in a recovery position and help her through what was probably a borderline panic attack. So we had a little bit of a situation there. But one of these things, this is something that this grief share is something that the church that I used to go to, we run this program, or we ran this program. I still say we sometimes, because I still feel like I'm a part of these support groups where I was part of counseling. I was with more of the addictions part of our ministries. That's a different thing altogether. But for this one, this was a different group of people, and they run it for 13 weeks, and you get materials. There are experts, and I don't know if they will show them here. The number one support group program in the world. You have videos. So you would go to a meeting and you would have videos training these are from experts in the field. So this is not just a church thing, even though it is faith-based, and a lot of churches host these programs. These are the topics that you will cover: loneliness, fear, anger, regrets, relationships, hope. They have a whole bunch that's covered, forgiveness. And it goes through like the 7 stages of grief, complex grief. In fact, losing a child or a life partner is one of the hardest and most serious grief experiences there is. They do the videos, and there's psychiatrists, there's doctors, there's people who have shared, firsthand experiences. And so you have a video to watch, and then you discuss, you have a group to talk with, to share support, to share experiences, to know that you're not alone. You get materials. And I think the materials help you with journaling. So I would encourage you, if something like this is not for you, going into any kind of a support group, journaling I do support, and writing your thoughts out. You just daily or multiple times a day, writing things out, expressing your feelings, because all of this that's in here needs to come out. The tears need to flow. The anger needs to flow. The questions. Having someone to guide you through it, I would highly recommend, because with something as losing a life partner or a child is something that can be really complex and will actually compound things that you already have going on inside of you. If there's already a history of depression and anxiety, maybe that, grief, when the pressure is on and something as serious as grief comes into your life, it will exacerbate what's already there. It's like a tea bag, and you put the tea bag in the hot water. The hot water is the stimulus, and whatever's in that tea bag comes out. Is it going to be, stinky and bitter, or is it going to smell sweet? Anyway, I highly recommend this, and maybe checking it out for yourselves and maybe recommending it to other people that you know. You can do things online. You don't have to actually go in person. There are different methods to this. And it will help you to be able to just know that you're not alone. A lot of people that are in these groups, have lost children and spouses and parents. And at least that's been my experience. But there's other things that they can talk about as well, because when it comes to loss and grieving, everyone grieves at a different pace. They grieve at different levels. Some people can get stuck, and this is one of the reasons why I encourage going to something like this, or journaling, or having someone to talk to. And if you want to talk to me, you can go look in my description box and send me an email, and we can share some things together, and just be a listening ear. And we do need someone to listen to us and just to let us talk. If you read about Job in the Bible, Job had friends that came to visit him, and his friends are great until they started talking. So there's a lesson there too. Sometimes it's just best to go and sit with people, offer hugs, offer to hold their hand, to get them things, to, even just getting tissue, getting some water, encouraging them to, stay hydrated. You do lose a lot of water through tears, getting some rest, doing things for them. We can go clean houses. We can clean, we could do dishes. We can, yes, bring food and cook and do these things, but doing some of those mundane things that, the chores around the house really takes a load off. And I listened to the mother. She was worried about that, but her daughter picked it right up, and she was organizing things for people to come in and feed the dogs, or maybe take the dogs. Jay had a dog, so he went to a foster home, and so now he's going to have to be rehomed. Doing things behind the scenes are just as important as sitting with someone and crying with them. So just want to put those things out there to you, and share one resource that is highly recommended. And we have several chapters in our area, so I would suggest maybe looking in your area to see if there is a chapter. But if there isn't, definitely encourage someone to go talk, be that friend. Or if you can't be that type of person, then maybe find someone, that can help, or just sharing experiences. These are the traumatic events that happen in our lives, where this is what we talk about in mental health first aid. It is some time in our lives, or someone that we are going to experience a traumatic event. Some sort of a trauma is going to happen. And usually it's something like this. Death is going to be something that a lot of people face, sudden death, and we have a lot of that happening. Also, one other thing I wanted to point out, this is the month of May, and May is Motorcycle Awareness Month. Look twice, save a life. It's important. Look twice. And I'm telling you, motorcycles are out. They're out everywhere in my area, which is kind of interesting. And also Memorial Day weekend, there's usually a ride where motorcyclists will ride into, I think it's in the DC area anyway, they will ride in for a Memorial Day weekend ride. So anyway, just obviously when they're traveling in packs, in groups and stuff, it's a lot easier to spot them. But do look twice. Just assume it's summer and there's probably going to be, motorcyclists out on the road. I look forward to sharing more positive videos with you, but I hope that this was a little bit of a help as to maybe how to help some people that are in situations like this, give you some things to think about. We're never prepared for these things. We're never prepared for loss. Even if we know it's coming, we're never really prepared. Our hearts aren't prepared. And tragic losses, how would you even really be able to be prepared for that? but you can be prepared for the aftermath as far as a friend and a confidant, that kind of thing, to have the resources, have some things available to help people through this, and be ready to be that person to listen and to just listen. You don't have to solve anything. You don't have to explain anything. You can just say, I understand this is painful for you, and I'm sorry. So I want to share that I love y'all, and I have talked with a few people behind the scenes, and I'm thankful for the support and that they have given, the kind words that they have shared. And so, again, I feel like I have no reason. I feel like my situation is just not even worth talking about, because, I'm not the one that has lost a son, but my daughter has lost a life partner, and any possible future that would have come out of that. Anyway, I appreciate you listening, and y'all take care, be aware, and I will catch you in the next video.